Doesn't matter if you're watching your favorite team or rooting against your rivals, FanDuel is giving everyone something to cheer for during Super Bowl 59. So don't miss your chance to score in the biggest game of the year with FanDuel's $5 million touchdown jackpot. Just visit FanDuel.com/Paul and get in on the action. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Each $2.5 million prize pool to be split equally among all eligible participants who made the correct picks. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 21 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Hey guys, Valentine's Day is right around the corner and Cupid's arrow is pointing straight to Bailey's. We're here to help and make it easy for you to find the perfect gift for the one you love. Bailey's has something for everyone and every budget. We have a huge selection of jewelry and gifts for under $500 from David Yurman, Apolita, Mikimoto, Lagos, and more. And if you're looking for something extra special, we also have an amazing selection of diamond jewelry. Shop in-store or online at baileybox.com. Give her a gift that's better than chocolate or roses with the easiest and can't-miss way to make her Valentine's Day extra special with a little black and white striped box from Bailey's Fine Jewelry. Located in Raleigh's Village District and Crabtree Valley Mall, also in Cary's Fenton, Rocky Mount, and Greenville. Just a little reminder from me, Marcy Bailey. Every woman wants a Bailey box.
When it comes to the biggest games of all time, the original Abbey Road Tavern and Grill is the road to a good time. This year for the big game, come get your appetizers, buy one, get one half off. Take out or dine in. Dine in and also score great drink specials like $5 Bloody Marys and mimosas, $3.50 Coors Banquet and Yingling Fight Bottles, $9 Yingling Personal Pitchers, and all Crown Royal flavors are just $6. It's the original Abbey Road Tavern and Grill for the big game in Cary on West Chatham Street and Apex on Center Street. AbbeyRoadNC.com.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score!
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Anthony Davis doesn't want to play center, but Anthony Davis doesn't have the range on his shot that is expected of a modern power forward. Which is to say that if you have him out there on the floor with Lively or Gafford, nobody can really shoot that well. Anthony Davis was great shooting empty gym jumpers in the bubble, but they're going to have spacing issues when they have the ball. With the Lakers, I mean, you just took the team away from LeBron James and gave it to Luka Doncic. I don't know how much fun LeBron is going to have living in Luka Doncic's world.
It's the Adam Gold Show. How is everybody today? I'm sleep deprived.
Oh, and not for good reasons.
No, not really. No, not for good reasons at all. I know it just seems like it's only an hour, but I'm sleep deprived on a normal Hurricanes night.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the Hurricanes got underway at 8 o'clock. They did not score a goal. Has yet to be proven that you can get anything out of a game without scoring a goal.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can go 0-0 into overtime and then lose in a shootout. Technically, nobody has scored a goal, and they declare a winner, and the loser at that point would get a point. And maybe that's what Carolina was trying to do last night. I don't know, but they did not score, and they did not win.
Well,
but
that big mystery goalie interference didn't help anything either.
we will address that. Also had a chance encounter with someone who, while I disagree with, he's too nice to disagree with. So we'll go. I'll explain all of that when we get into that. We are now Today is Wednesday, right?
I know, it's hump day.
It is hump day, and it is a Chip Patterson day. It is National Signing Day in college football. Man, I remember when this was like a holiday.
Yeah.
We actually created fake stories. I'm not even kidding. A long time ago, we decided to mock National Signing Day and created a correspondent who worked for, there's an organization called Max Preps, which is legit, and it deals with football recruiting. Might do basketball recruiting too, I don't know. Definitely deals with football recruiting. So we decided to come up with Max Stars, completely made up. We had a correspondent who was our embedded reporter with Max Stars, and we created fake conversations about recruiting.
Nice.
And it was, I think, hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
It was a complete farce. It was never meant to be taken seriously. I don't believe anybody really did. They understood the joke. But now I don't even think the day's that big a deal anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily the right person to know this anyway. I didn't know it was National Signing Day until I woke up today.
Right? You got a notification?
No, I'm trying to remember how I figured it. No, because I logged on to social media.
Yeah,
and they were telling me. They were telling me. Actually, I was because I follow the Cover 3 podcast, Chip Patterson's podcast. They're talking about it. They were on live today talking about National Signing Day. And so I'm like, oh, look at that. It's National Signing Day. I guess we'll talk to Chip about that.
Yeah.
But there are two signing days. There's a signing day in December. Didn't we just have one? And now there's this signing day, always the first February and Wednesday. The first Wednesday in February.
That hour. I know the feeling.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll talk about that with Chip, among other things. So, we've got that to get to, as well as some other things. Joel Berry is going to join us. So, an interesting news item that came out, kind of reports say that UNC is thinking about this. So, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what he thinks is wrong with the basketball program or just this particular team. Because I still contend that while North Carolina does need to modernize, I think a lot of this is overblown by this team isn't any good. Last year's team, which I could be wrong here, but last year doesn't seem like that long ago to me.
No.
Last year's team was good. And while I understand Dan Wolken's point from yesterday that, last year's team wasn't nearly as good as their record, okay, I'm not going to argue that. I don't disagree. I thought they got the most out of last year's team in terms of wins and losses. And they got a number 1 seed. I mean, even if they weren't one of the best 4 teams in the country, and I don't believe they were, it's hard to fluke your way to a number 1 seed without being good, without being really good. Doesn't mean you are upper crust about to win a national championship good. It just means that, man, you were good. Mm-hmm. You had a good year. So there's only so much you can fool people, and I don't really think North Carolina was fooling anybody. I think they were good last year. So part of me is hesitant to throw dirt on Hubert Davis or the Carolina way based on the results that we have seen this year. Because to be perfectly honest, if you threw a good big man on this team right now, somebody they could throw the ball to the post in to get some offense, somebody who could legitimately protect the rim, pull down a bunch of rebounds, all of that, the stuff that they wish Jalen Washington could do on a regular basis. If you put somebody like that on this team, I think this team would be a ton better.
You can tell they don't have Baycott anymore.
No. And to be perfectly fair, Baycott didn't do this until he'd been in the program a couple of years.
Yeah.
So remember, he was here for a long time.
He did.
I thought Armando Baycott was ultimately going to draw a paycheck from the university, like in, I don't know, retirement.
Taking those astrology classes.
Hey, he said
if you
it.
remember those.
He
yeah.
said it.
He said
didn't.
it. We're not going to forget it.
He said it. Hey, look, the astrology labs, very, very difficult.
Right.
I'm drooling now. Okay, can't slobber on the radio. So we'll talk about UNC basketball. I would argue that tonight might be the biggest game in NC State's entire season, and I'll explain why when we get to that. Duke has, I think, a difficult bounce-back game. Not that the game is difficult, but it is on the road, and it is against a team that they should absolutely squash, which in some ways I think makes it even more difficult. We got a ton of things to do, and it is Super Bowl week, so we'll talk about that, plus a little bit about the Senior Bowl. Our friend Ryan Wilson's going to stop by in just a little bit. All right, I've given you the parameters. Now let's go. So let us start with the reason I was awake till 1 last night. Canes were shut out in Winnipeg. All right. Should we start with goaltender interference?
Why not?
Okay. Please don't try to tell me it's a rule. Don't try to send me Rule 67-2. I don't even know the number. I don't care. Don't send me a rule. Goaltender interference is a mood. It's a vibe. It is abstract. It is beauty in the eye of the beholder. It is art. It is open to interpretation.
There might be crystals involved.
There probably are. It gives me a headache.
Yeah.
So there are probably crystals involved. So there were 2 goaltender interference issues yesterday. They both went against the Carolina Hurricanes, as you could expect. The first one, I believe they got wrong. Mikko Rantanen, basically, he was called for goaltender interference, and it chalked off the Jackson Blake power play goal that would have made it 1-0 Carolina. Goes without saying that is a pretty big call to make. Regardless of whether or not Carolina's power play has been trash for the last month, it looked like Carolina had a power play goal. I believe they should have been awarded the power play goal. Doesn't matter what I think, and it doesn't even matter the logic of it all. For my money, there was minimal at best contact. I think that Mikko Rantanen was forced into Eric Comrie, the goalie,
yes,
by Winnipeg defenseman Neil Pionk. I still don't think that there was enough contact to warrant goaltender interference. It doesn't appear that Comrie is impacted by Rantanen. Even if there is contact, again, it doesn't appear on video as though there is actual impeding going on. With that said, the one and only Cam Ward thought, I'm a goalie. So they made that all right, I get it. He understood my argument in that, and he agreed that, Neil Pionk probably did cause that. And here's what I wish the NHL would say, but they won't. Because all they basically do is player in the crease impacted the goaltender's ability. They don't say that while it appears that he was held in the crease, helped into the goaltender, which both of those things happened, they don't mention any of that. So, letter of the law, maybe. But I want I want when the NHL sends out their little missives on this, I want them to include the video and include where and why they believe that goaltender interference happened on video. It would be helpful.
With circles and arrows.
Yeah, exactly. They can do that. They have the technology to do that. But that's not what they do. To me, if there is contact that impedes Comrie, it's because Pionk forced it. And for my money, that should waive off goaltender interference. If they simply said this, if you skate into the crease of your own volition, and that is what happened. Mikko Rantanen he went into the crease on his own. Now, he was trying to cut across to get in front of the net, and that's where Pionk shoved him into Comrie.
Right.
He was already in the crease, again, on his own. If they had said Mikko Rantanen entered the crease on his own and there was contact with the goaltender, and if they said that because he entered there on his own, that's good enough for goaltender interference, I'll buy it. But we have seen that exact play, the exact same play, allowed to stand and have the goal allowed to stand. So, again, it's a mood, it's a vibe.
Well, what did Cameron think, or what did Cam think about the other one?
He didn't see the other one.
Oh, okay.
Like he said, I only watched the first period.
Okay.
Which, hey, you know what? I wish I could have gone to bed. I was exhausted.
I just was curious because what's good for the goose should be good for the gander, and it's not.
Here's the thing. I thought they got the call in the third period correct. There's no way they should have blown the whistle on that goal. That was a good goal from the very beginning. If you go look at my timeline, I said it immediately. Like, why on earth did they blow the whistle? You could tell the puck was loose in the crease, and whatever the guy's name is, I don't know. He has every right to go get the puck. He can't go through Pyotr Kochetkov to get it, but he had every right to go get it. And he went and got it, and he knocked it in. And the notion that, well, he forced Kochetkov's pad in, no, he didn't. He had stick on puck. If he forces Kochetkov's pad in, he's simply pushing the puck in. And yes, the puck went in. That was never goaltender interference. They got that call wrong on the ice, but upon review, they got it right. So I have zero problem with that. I had obviously a problem with the first one, but I understand why, Rantanen went into the crease on his own, and if we just say that, whatever Neil Pionk did is fine, then the NHL should say that. But they don't, so it leaves all of this open to which way the wind is blowing. And this was what I said last night in the podcast. I'm like, it must be so comforting to be a fan of any team playing the Carolina Hurricanes. Mm-hmm. Because in goaltender interference situations, I'm sure we have some Winnipeg Jets fans out there. I promise you, every Winnipeg Jets fan listening knew in their heart that they were going to win both of those challenges. Why? Because you're playing the Hurricanes, and they always lose.
Always.
We had 2 in a row this year where the Canes won. And I think it shocked all of us that they won 2 in a row for goaltender interference.
We're the opposite of the Chiefs.
Exactly. Yes, the anti-Chiefs. Yeah. So if you're a Jets fan, you just knew you were going to win that challenge. And I'm sure the head coach, and I blank on his name anyway, I'm sure he knew, oh, come on, it's the Hurricanes. They're going to lose the challenge. Mm-hmm. We could challenge. It was actually the one in the third period was a silly challenge.
It was.
Because if they don't agree with you, you're putting Carolina on the power play, and you only have a 2-goal lead, and there was plenty of time left.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the other part of this joke is that is also reason to go, who cares if we get the challenge wrong? Mm-hmm. They're not going to score. And that's the real reason Carolina lost.
Yeah.
Special teams, which, even though the power play has suffered since we turned the calendar, And it was actually suffering before then, too, but it's really suffering now. Carolina's been so good at killing penalties, creating offense. Remember, in 2025, the Hurricanes have more shorthanded goals than they have power play goals. Just keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
In 2025, 3 shorthanded goals, 2 power play goals, probably not a good formula. Unless you've got 15 shorthanded goals, and then, yeah, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Winnipeg has the best power play in the league. They scored on their first 2 opportunities. That was enough to win the game. So special teams is what did Carolina in last night.
Yeah. And
there were a couple of other things. I don't believe that the goaltending was okay. I don't think either goal or any of the 3 goals were bad goals, but I mean, no. Yeah. We got to get one of them. No. All right, Rod Brindamore was asked about the impact of the first goal that was chalked off.
Well, it definitely changes not the outcome necessarily, but changes the outlook of the game. I mean, if it goes in, we're up 1, we're feeling pretty good. But obviously, I mean, we know how those go. Sometimes you win them, sometimes you don't.
Yes. Sometimes you win, and most of the time you don't. Once in a blue moon you win, and every other time you don't. All right, there's also been a lot of online shade thrown at Jackson Blake.
What?
The issue for people is that Mikko Rantanen is, again, this is a video thing. We're on YouTube.
Levels.
All the way up here. Top shelf. He's what is a top shelf liquor?
Ooh, I don't know.
Right, exactly. Since I don't do a lot of drink, I'll use gin. Mikko Rantanen is Bombay Sapphire.
Right.
There might be a better gin than that. I don't know. That's the level I go to. And Jackson Blake is like London's Dry. I have no idea.
You can do cereal. Like the top shelf is the Post cereal with the dried
granola.
Fruits. Yes.
Granola, and then we have
the bottom is the
Lucky Charms.
Generic. No, the generic version. That's in a bag, not even in a box. It's like a dog food bag.
Fruity holes or something. Anyway, that's where Mikko Rantanen is so far. He shouldn't be asked to play with Jackson Blake. Folks, I understand your point. I get your point. Except that would be ignoring what we're watching. And what we're watching is Blake play better than the 2 players on his line right now. Look, I understand that Rantanen is one of the elite offensive players in the sport. Nobody's taking that away from him. He will, if he scored no more goals for the Hurricanes this year, 0, at the end of the season, Eric Tulsky and Tom Dundon would offer him the exact same contract as they would if he scored 20. We don't have to see Mikko Rantanen go bananas on the score sheet to remember that he's a great player. Okay? That's not the point. There's going to be an adjustment period for Rantanen because the team plays differently than the Colorado Avalanche do. By the way, the Avalanche are struggling to win games. A lot. Really struggling to win games. Though the Hurricanes have lost 3 of the 5 games that Rantanen has played in. Nobody's winning that trade right now on the in the standings. So, but if you've watched, it's actually been Blake that has played better than the other 2 guys on the line. Rantanen has been fine. I don't think the trade was made for Rantanen to be fine. Aho has been fine.
Yeah.
So, let's just be honest about what we're watching. And by the way, I didn't think that line was great last night at all. They did generate some opportunities. I thought the Kotkaniemi, Svechnikov, Hall line was better. I thought Taylor Hall's been good.
Yes.
Except he has just one assist, and he's played 4 games. He has 1 assist in 4 games. Mikko Rantanen has a goal and an assist in 5. So they have combined for 3 points in a total of 9 games played between the two. Obviously, we want more from them.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't gotten it yet. But people like, oh, Jackson Blake shouldn't be there. Get him out of here. Anyway, I'm not even going to go into the dumbness of it all. But suffice to say, it's been pretty dumb.
I'm excited for Blake, personally.
Yeah, look, he has earned his spot. He is playing well. He is generating chances. They just haven't gone. Actually, if you look at the data from last night, he generated the most chances. Rantanen did too. Aho and Svechnikov. I'm begging both of you guys.
Please.
Both of you. And by the way, we have a promo running, right? For show promo.
Mm-hmm.
From this show where I said everybody has fast-forwarded to the impact of Rantanen. And I said this a few summers ago. I know you can bring in this guy or this guy or this guy. Carolina will get better from within. The Hurricanes will not maximize what they can be this year unless Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov wake the blank up. It's just that simple. We don't have to get crazy about anything else, and you're just showing yourself to be, well, being a fan is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And even being irrational as a fan is fine. But just watch.
Yeah.
Watch the games.
Yeah.
All right. I spent way too much time on that. I know. We have 2 big basketball games tonight. We've got Duke at Syracuse. Syracuse has 4 wins this season. Duke is a 17.5-point favorite on the road. Right? Syracuse is no good. No good. Duke should win this game. It should be a name-your-final-score type of game for the Blue Devils. And it may well be. But coming off the emotions of how they played against North Carolina, going on the road to Syracuse, which can be a difficult place to play, although, again, shouldn't be a problem for Duke. You just get the vibe that this game will be more difficult than it should be. I think Duke will win. I don't think they will have an easy time of it because of them, not because of Syracuse. But the bigger game tonight, and I would argue the biggest game that NC State will play all season, is at Cal. 11 o'clock. Why?
Ooh.
Why are you doing that to me?
What?
Yeah, 11 o'clock.
It's not even Friday or Saturday.
On the ACC network at 11 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
Can we play this game at 9 o'clock?
Yes, please. East Coast time?
9 o'clock. I can't do 11.
Oh.
So anyway, here's the thing. State's got 2 wins. The bottom 3 in the ACC standings, and we are turning for home. There's 10 games left. The bottom 3 teams in the ACC standings will not play in the ACC tournament. You're not going. They are 2 wins out of 15th place. 2 wins. Cal is one of those teams with 4 wins. My guess is that it will take 5 wins to guarantee a spot in the top 15. It may not. You might be able to get there. Well, I don't think you're going to be able to get there with 4. You might. It might be 6. Mm-hmm. Okay, 5 wins gives you a chance. I just don't see all that many. Oh yeah, you'll win that.
Mm-hmm.
Left on State's schedule.
No.
And they have 2. So losing a game to a team that's already 2 ahead of you creates problems that they can't afford. At Cal tonight, at Stanford on Saturday. Stanford's actually good. Wake Forest also plays at 11 tonight at Stanford. So, very, very difficult game for the Wolfpack, but a winnable one and one they have to win. They can't come back from this road trip stuck on 2 wins.
Like, have to win.
Cannot come back from this road trip to stuck on 2 wins. All right, we're going to take a break. Ryan Wilson, CBSSports.com, is going to join us next. We will talk Super Bowl. We will talk about the Senior Bowl because he was down there, and we'll talk football with him next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Looking at both UNC and NC State basketball this year, it has to be more than just you look good when you hit shots. The coaching, both Hubert Davis and Kevin Keatts, have to figure out a way to put their team into better positions rather than just hoping the players can knock down the shots in tougher positions. It's not great coaching if someone hits a fadeaway three.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. February is the month for love. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to your rug. It's the Love Your Rug Special. Have you ever Googled the company Zero Res? They have a 4.9 rating, and they want to come in and take all the nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again and again throughout your house from your carpets and floors and get rid of them. They want you to love your floors the way you should this February. So visit them online at ZeroResRaleigh.com or call 919-995-0000 and get the Love Your Rug Special. That's 3 rooms of carpets cleaned starting at $109 and $100 off air duct cleaning on top of it. It's happening this month from Zero Res. ZeroResRaleigh.com or 919-995-0000.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with a bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low. It just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
It's back, folks, and it's better than ever. Who wants to win a custom Canales motorcycle? Dennis Cox here for Law Tigers. The Carolina Hurricanes, Law Tigers, Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, and Shiny Side Paint are teaming up again to give one lucky fan a custom Canales motorcycle. Go to caniacsbike.com to enter. Sign-ups last until April 6th, and the bike will be given away on the final home game of the season. caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Gold. Gold.
So I was reading an article about the 10 oddest Guinness World Records, and the thing that caught my eye was most skips by a cat in 1 minute. This woman has a jump rope and is skipping with her cat. Okay, I have got a cat, and let me just tell you, the skipping alone would cause this, but swinging a jump rope anywhere near my sweet kitty Carol, she'd be gone for like 5 days.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. Super Bowl, I don't know if you were aware of this because we haven't had football like in 10 days, but the Super Bowl is Sunday. It's the Chiefs and the Eagles. Ryan Wilson, our friend from CBSSports.com, wears two hats. I don't know if he wears any hats, but I know he does two different things. He concentrates on the draft, and he also follows the National Football League. Let's start with the draft and the prospects. Mr. Wilson, how are you? I hope life is good for you. What jumped out at you at the Senior Bowl?
Hey, Adam, good to talk to you, buddy. Yeah, I'm surviving. We were down to the Senior Bowl, and the week before that, we were at the Shrine Bowl, so we saw a ton of kids, and I'm laughing because as Victoria called me, I was still working my way through trying to watch all these prospects. And, yeah, so Jackson Dart's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And he had a big week down there last week in Mobile, the Ole Miss quarterback, who, if we're being realistic, is probably a day two guy, but we'll see if he gets the Kenny Pickett treatment and gets pushed up. A handful of his teammates, and they all said leadership-wise he is through the roof, and Rick Spielman has said the same thing when talking to some folks around the league as well. So that's going to be a big thing. And had a good season, but the question becomes, after the top two quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, how far are teams willing to go in order to push that envelope? On the other end of the spectrum, Jalen Milroe struggled a little bit. This is a thing we're going to have to talk about too, Adam. He has small hands. That was the Kenny Pickett syndrome as well. They were under 9 inches, and that's sort of the measuring stick.
Wasn't that the Jared Goff problem too, all the way back in the day?
That was the Jared Goff problem. Turns out Jared Goff can play with tiny hands. And Joe Burrow tweeted out the same thing during his year after he got into the league when someone else had tiny hands. So it's not the end of the world, but it's something that we have to talk about. And he struggled was the bigger issue. I wanted to come see him go down to the Senior Bowl and sort of separate himself, and that didn't happen. But here's what I'll say. A year ago, Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix were there. Neither one of them separated themselves. Both of those guys were top 12 picks. So there's still ways to go.
All right. Are either Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, if we were drafting quarterbacks like regular players, are either of them worthy of the first overall pick?
No. And I'm sort of hesitating because if we're just talking best overall pick, it's Travis Hunter.
Right.
And if we're talking second best player, it's probably Abdul Carter. Third best player is probably Mason Graham. One's an edge rusher and the other was a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
3 defensive guys or 2.5 defensive guys and Travis Hunter who can play on both sides. But the most important position is quarterbacks, so those guys get pushed up. And I think you and I talked about this before. If Cam or Shedeur were in last year's draft class, they're probably QB no better than QB4, probably QB5.
Yeah.
So that's just the reality of it. But Travis Hunter, unfortunately, doesn't play quarterback, and that's why he'll probably, slip a little bit. Now, by slip a little bit, I mean he's probably still in the top 5. I can't imagine he gets past the Raiders at 6 if he happened to fall that far. But he's the best player in this draft class.
Ryan Wilson, CBSSports.com, is joining us with the First Pick podcast he does with Rick Spielman. All right, so in terms of local players, I know Anthony Belton raised a lot of eyes, former NC State offensive tackle. And I also have heard that who's the lineman, Willie Lampkin from Carolina.
Oh, my favorite player in this whole draft.
Really? In the entire draft?
He's us. Willie Lampkin represents all of us.
Okay.
5'10", 270, 32-inch arms, which if you measure that out to like 6'8", he has like the longest arms on planet Earth. So he has some long arms for his size. And there's nothing more exciting to me than watching your left guard at UNC be smaller than your running back in Omarion Hampton. And he came down to Mobile and he played with an edge, and it's going to look, man, the reality is it's going to be tough to be a 5'10", 270-pound offensive lineman. He got some work at center, but that kid, there's no one with a bigger heart, and he's got some juice, man. He plays with an edge. And now listen, if you stood him next to Belton, it looks like one's the great-grandfather and the other one's the toddler going off to school. But they played on the same offensive line, and it's a fun story. I thought Belton had a good week as well. His future may be inside. He's such an enormous human being, and I think he moves pretty well for his size. But at the next level, when you're going from ACC to NFL, it might be a situation where your immediate path to getting more playing time is probably moving inside the guard. But he had some good reps in the one-on-one drills, which at the end of the day don't mean much, but it gives you an idea of how these guys move in space.
If you were the Panthers and you had your pick of the defensive players, and obviously you're not going to get Travis Hunter at number 8, but with Hunter off the board, with all the quarterbacks off the board, because who knows that there might even be a third quarterback taken. I have no idea. At number 8, if you've got Graham there, or who's the Walker kid? Was it from Florida? Is it?
Mykal Walker out of
Georgia.
Jalen Walker, excuse me, out of Georgia.
If who's the best player for what the Panthers need?
Well, I mean, Mason Graham next to Derek Brown has me intrigued. That's some juice on the inside. If you're looking to get some edge rush help, and they moved on from Brian Burns, I don't think Abdul Carter would be there. That would be mildly surprising, but he's a juiced up former off-ball linebacker, sort of the Michael Parsons path. He was the edge rusher. James Pierce out of Tennessee has some juice. He played about 245-ish, I think, last fall, but he plays much bigger than that. Michael Williams out of Georgia is a guy whose best football is going to be ahead of him, but he's one of these high-end Georgia edge rush athletes that can just go for days. There's going to be, Adam, there's so much depth along the defensive line and edge rush position that you could, even if Carolina, you could trade down 5 or 6 or 7 spots and maybe even more and get some more draft picks if that's what Dan Morgan wants to do, and you're going to get a similar type player. This class is so sickeningly deep on the defensive side of the ball. Because people are angry about the no quarterback situation, but there's going to be a lot of fun guys taken in this draft.
Yeah, I think maybe this is another opportunity for the Panthers to trade back a little bit at I don't know, maybe not in the first round, but maybe in the second round, even into the third round. They have their own third round pick. I think they have the Rams' second round pick. That's not going to be early. Maybe they trade back there. Let me get to the Super Bowl. I know you're aware that there is a Super Bowl. The Chiefs are playing in it again. That is a surprise for nobody. So you're if you're the Eagles, do you feel like you have to run the ball well to win, or are you going to have to be able to throw it because the Chiefs aren't going to let you run it?
Yeah, you got to run the ball. I mean, Saquon is the reason you're there, and Jalen Hurts to a lesser degree, but you don't want Jalen taking a ton of hits. And, this is a situation that happened with the Ravens a year ago in the game again, in the playoff game against the Chiefs. They got away from running the ball, and they lost. And then they leaned into the run early on in the playoffs this year, and they look like the Ravens with Derrick Henry. And I think that's exactly what you have to do, even if you're unsuccessful early, because the good news about this Eagles team is that Vic Fangio has done such a great job with the defense, and Howie Roseman has done such a great job drafting guys, athletic specimens to play in this defense. They have 2 rookies balling out in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you have to have the sense that, look, man, we might go 3 and out trying to establish a run, but we'll get the ball back. We have dudes at every level on defense. And for as good as the Chiefs are in January, they weren't great for the first 2/3 of the season offensively. There were some fits and starts to that offense, and they've obviously turned into the Chiefs, and that surprises no one. But I think that you can't get away from what you do well. Even if you're down 10-0, I think every single Super Bowl wasn't Patrick Mahomes down double digits and they came back. So you can't let that be the end of the world. You have to sort of dance with who you brought, and that is Saquon Barkley, who can be a game changer. I think you have to continue to lean into that.
Yeah, it's getting 10 points down is like Mahomes is almost undefeated when he's 10 points in arrears at some point during the game, which is really one of the dumbest stats ever. I mean, not dumb in that it's a bad stat. It's just that, like, it's hard to believe that you're, not that you're better, but that it doesn't matter. And maybe it doesn't when you're that good and you've got the best coach around. I mean, Andy Reid is probably going to end up on the very short list of the greatest coaches in the history of the National Football League for as long as he keeps doing it. Do you subscribe to the theory that the Eagles have the best roster?
No, only because of the name you mentioned and the name that you mentioned who plays quarterback for him.
Right.
Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, right? So, and look, man, there are no slouches on that Steve Spagnuolo defense as well for Kansas City. But, I mean, look, if you take the quarterbacks out of it, Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback. Yes, the Eagles have the best roster. But a great quarterback makes up for a lot of other blemishes, and we've seen that time and time again with Patrick Mahomes. I did find it somewhat funny that the officials were super pumped that Roger Goodell came out and said that the officials are not cheating, in fact, for the Kansas City Chiefs. I didn't know that had to be said out loud.
Right.
But that's where we are in this journey, which now the Chiefs have turned into the Tom Brady Patriots and the Derek Jeter Yankees in terms of hatred by everyone.
Do you think the Chiefs got the benefit of the doubt on, like, which of those two calls, do you think they ultimately got them both right?
Which calls are you talking about in particular? I've been sort of tuned out with draft coverage. Are you talking about the Bills game draft?
Yeah,
call?
the interception and the first down.
That didn't bother me so much. That's fine. I'm not mad at that. I'm more. I understand where fans' irritation comes in when it's about the roughing the passer calls that Patrick Mahomes seems to get, or the flop. And Josh Allen is guilty of this as well. The flopping around irritates me to no end. They just trying to bait the referees into setting themselves up to be in a bad position. I think we could clamp down on the flopping sort of like we do in professional soccer, but no one cares what I think about that. I think I understand fans' irritation, but as the old thing goes, Adam, in order for a conspiracy to work, everyone has to be in on it. And we're all too dumb to make that work.
So the whole flopping thing, the whole trying to draw calls, if it didn't work, nobody'd do it.
Right.
Because it just makes you look bad.
Absolutely.
All right, let me dig in one more thing about this game, because I think underreported in all of this is that the Chiefs look like they're about as fully operational at wideout as they're going to be. They got big plays out of Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, who made that catch that should have been an interception, and ultimately he stole it. I thought that was the right call. The ball hit the ground, but I don't think it didn't move. I don't think it helped him make the catch or steal the ball. And then, Travis Kelce was hardly used in the game. He should be fresh for this Super Bowl. What's going to be more difficult for Philadelphia to stop?
That's a great question, because, Quinyon Mitchell outside has been playing out of his mind. Coop DeJean, the second-round pick rookie, has been playing really well in the slot. So you would imagine it would be trying to slow down Travis Kelce. But is he 80% of what he's been in recent years? And to your point, usually the bubble wrap comes off in January. They sort of slow play him until then, and then he goes crazy. But I think the full complement, or close to the full complement of wide receivers is a real concern. Now, I think there's no secondary better equipped to handle it than Philadelphia, but that doesn't mean it's still not a concern, because you have a lot of speed with Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown out there. And even if you want to call them secondary options in the Noah Grays of the world, of the Justin Watsons, those guys get open, and Patrick Mahomes finds them. So I think it's going to be a pick-your-poison situation. You want to stop Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown winning down the field, which means Travis has a chance to be open, and you're going to have to dink and dunk your way down the field. And Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are happy to do that. And I would imagine Vic Fangio prefers that to just hitting home run after home run with the deep ball.
And the truth is that Kansas City doesn't even throw the ball deep down the field, right? I can't remember the last time I saw them really air it out. Everything is short. A lot of stuff behind the line of scrimmage. Guys are always wide open. That's the greatest play designs I think I've ever seen. Ryan Wilson, CBSSports.com. With the First Pick podcast with Rick Spielman. Enjoy. Who you're picking in the game?
It's hard not to go with the Chiefs. I think they're gonna repeat. I thought the Bills had a chance to win 10 days ago, and here we are going for number 3.
Yes, both teams are somehow villains, Ryan. I didn't know I didn't know we could have two villains. I don't know if you watch professional wrestling. I don't. I think this is like The Undertaker versus Triple H. If those were two villains at the same time, I don't even know the rules.
I love it. And by the way, this is a great problem to have, and I'm sure Panthers fans would love to be known as the villains at this point. So that's something to aspire to.
Exactly. Ryan, thank you very much, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, we'll come back. We have one-timers next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and I'm not sure you're aware of this. No, of course you're aware of this. Super Bowl 59 is here. It's the big week, and no better way to make every moment more exciting than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. They make it easy to have the most fun during the big game. Saquon Barkley, 25 or more rushing yards in each quarter. You can do that. That's hard. Either quarterback to catch a pass. That could happen. How about a big man touchdown? Any offensive lineman to score a TD. Place a $5 bet. If you win, you get $200 in bonus bets. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
A crisis moment is any moment where you feel overwhelmed and as if you aren't able alone to handle what's happening. You don't have to be alone with that feeling. And when that feeling comes is exactly when you should reach out, you should get connected, and you should be in community. We care, we listen, we help. Call, text, or chat 988 anytime.
Call, text, or chat 988-24/7. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job, and Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance, and Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
All right, 2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's why.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. All right, next hour, Chip Patterson. It's National Signing Day. Didn't even know until I woke up today. But it's a big day. Also, the portal. I don't know if the portal is open or not. I think the portal closed. But Sometimes it doesn't matter. Chip knows the rules. I don't. We'll talk about all those things. But first, it's one-timers.
Okay, well, why not talk about the Canes, shall we? So, someone on our YouTube stream.
I'm sure this will be great.
Oh, yeah, we love
It's
the
exhausting.
YouTube stream. You're welcome to put your questions up
please
there
do that.
if you have any. But today, someone mentioned on our YouTube stream their opinion of Jackson Blake, and they say that he's a good secondary scorer, but he's not ready for the first line. So, thoughts?
I don't even. He's just a depth guy. I mean, I've already went through this. He's been the best player on that line since they put that line together. I'm sorry. I get it. My brain also has a hard time computing with somebody his size, with his lack of experience, being in that position. And I don't believe that when we get to the playoffs that he will be there unless he does start scoring goals. He scored one last night that was chalked off because of the big guy who interfered with the goalie, allegedly. But that line has created chances without scoring. People have a hard time computing that Jackson Blake is as good as he is.
He's so good.
I just don't have an answer for that. He's good. He's legitimately good. Now, I do think that when William Carrier comes back, he'll go back with Stahl and Martinook, and Seth Jarvis will end up in his spot. But until that day comes, Jackson Blake is probably going to stay where he is unless the line doesn't look right. It didn't look great last night. That wasn't Jackson Blake's fault. I really fault the guy in the middle more than the two wings. They need better from Sebastian Aho. It's not about Jackson Blake, but I get it. We think we've solved all the problems. Sorry, I don't mean to mock, but it's become such it's such an echo chamber on Twitter. It is incredible. The number, like, I think this. Oh, look, somebody I follow also loves the Canes. They think this, therefore we're right. He's not the problem. Talked to too many players.
Yeah.
Way too many players about that. He's not the problem.
Rod loves him too.
Yeah,
We trust Rod, so.
He does. Well, no, they don't. See, that's the problem. The online echo chamber doesn't really trust the head
We
coach.
should trust Rod.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They don't trust him.
Well, someone else from last night's game, because we did have goalie interference drama. Someone else on our YouTube stream also brought up the idea of maybe other teams have figured into their analytics that the Canes always lose goalie interference calls, so maybe they're putting that into their strategy. You think that's a thing?
I would.
Yeah.
I would. Look, it's possible that it was goaltender interference again. It's not a rule. It's a vibe. It's a mood. It's how do you feel? Which way's the wind blowing? It's unfortunate. Canes have come up on the short end of that a lot.
All right, and one more before we leave. So, do you think the illness that was running through the locker room maybe impacted yesterday's game at all, or were they just outplayed?
Yesterday's game? Hell, no way. In fact, I asked Rod before we started recording yesterday if we could blame illness on Saturday night, and he goes, "That? No." No, not at all for Saturday night. Anyway, look, we all want the Hurricanes to be better. It's been 5 games with the new guy.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
It is the FanDuel Kick of Destiny. It is here. It is happening on Sunday. This time for version 3, it's every Manning for himself. Are you Team Peyton or are you Team Eli? There is no Cooper, there is no Arch, and there is no Archie. This Super Bowl, these two legends will take the field in a field goal competition. That's right. You choose the winner, and if you choose right, you can share in $10 million worth of bonus bets. Oh, baby. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold for FanDuel and the Kick of Destiny, official partner of Super Bowl 59. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. No purchase necessary. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Hey guys, Valentine's Day is right around the corner and Cupid's arrow is pointing straight to Bailey's. We're here to help and make it easy for you to find the perfect gift for the one you love. Bailey's has something for everyone and every budget. We have a huge selection of jewelry and gifts for under $500 from David Yurman, Apolita, Mikimoto, Lagos, and more. And if you're looking for something extra special, we also have an amazing selection of diamond jewelry. Shop in-store or online at baileybox.com. Give her a gift that's better than chocolate or roses with the easiest and can't-miss way to make her Valentine's Day extra special with a little black and white striped box from Bailey's Fine Jewelry. Located in Raleigh's Village District and Crabtree Valley Mall, also in Cary's Fenton, Rocky Mount, and Greenville. Just a little reminder from me, Marcy Bailey. Every woman wants a Bailey box.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
If you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends. For my community.
For everyone here. We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies us. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member representative.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
The Dallas Mavericks were probably a little hesitant giving Luka Doncic 6 years, $350 million. Which, again, on its face, completely understandable. $350 million. That's what the extension was going to be. So I understand the hesitancy there because $350 million is a lot for a guy that we know plays his way into shape, a la Shaquille O'Neal. So I understand that. At the same time, the fact that Nico Harrison called only the Los Angeles Lakers makes me think that this was one of those we're going to send him to where he wants to go before he broadcasts where he wants to go.
That was not a describe from Monday. It's Wednesday. We're still talking about Luka and the Lakers because it's one of the preeminent stars in the league, and he is going to arguably, and frankly I don't think it's arguable, the signature franchise in the sport. I mean, the Lakers are they're basically the sun the NBA revolves around. And right now, LeBron James, who is, again, arguably the greatest player who's ever played, and he's still good. Did anybody catch his act last night? A near triple-double in the win over the L.A. Clippers. There's no Anthony Davis there now. It's more of LeBron's show. Luka's not ready to play yet. He's on the bench wearing a sweater, the same sweater we saw at his press conference. Who knows if they can play together? We'll find out eventually. There's no doubt about this. Luka Doncic is an elite offensive weapon. Is one of the top offensive performers that we have really ever seen. He gets where he wants to go. He shoots. He passes. I mean, he is brilliant as an offensive player. Defense is a nuisance to him. I'm not saying that's ever going to change. I don't know that it will. But his conditioning can. And we'll see if he subscribes to any of the, I'm sure, helpful hints that he will get from being in the same locker room as LeBron James. We'll see. And if it doesn't, LeBron will be out of there, and then the Lakers will be stuck with somebody who plays his way into shape every year. All right, let's run it back. And let's start with Luka Doncic and the Lakers. They had the press conference yesterday, and there's J.J. Redick on one side of Luka Doncic and biker Rob Pelinka on the other. Did you see the picture from the press conference?
No, does he ride?
I have no idea if he rides, but he's wearing looked like a biker jacket.
Oh.
With this leather jacket with all sorts of zippers on it.
I may own a couple of those myself.
You might. You absolutely might. So there they were, and here's Rob Pelinka, the Lakers GM, on this trade being about the future.
It's a gift. We're talking about a 25-year-old that is top 3 player in the universe. I can't think of a more amazing starting point to build a roster for the next decade. And I know he has the drive to win that we have here. Our fans are going to see that every night on the court. I know up here he might seem calm and casual and quiet, but we know the alter ego comes out, and we'll see it at Crypto.com soon, and I can't wait for it.
How did Luka feel about the trade?
I mean, everybody was surprised, so you can imagine how surprised I was. I was almost asleep, so when I got a call, I had to check it was April 1st. I didn't really believe it at first, and it was a bit shock. It was hard moments for me. It was home, so it was really hard moments for me, especially the first day. But as I said, I get to play in the greatest club in the world, and I'm excited for this new journey.
Kind of sounded like he was asleep there.
Well, he might have been.
Yeah.
I don't know. He might have been full from lunch based
Very
on
much.
what we know about his conditioning. The head coach is J.J. Redick. He has to make LeBron and Luka fit.
Yeah, two guys who have a high level of basketball intelligence that I'm very confident, whether it's playing in a 2-man game, a 3-man game, playing minutes without each other, they're going to be productive and they're going to excel. I think for both those guys, they have a killer's mentality, and that's exciting.
No idea how it's going to work. We won't know until they get on the court and probably play a handful of games, just like we really don't know how Mikko Rantanen is going to work here until we actually see them play a bunch of games. But we're not ready. We're not ready to admit that. All right, to North Carolina. Hubert Davis, Monday night on his radio program, said that he was going to take UNC basketball into the future and building out the staff, not the actual coaching staff, but the basketball staff that handles other things. Here's what Hubert wants to add to the program.
We're going to hire a GM. We need, a director of marketing and fundraising for NIL, for program needs. There needs to be video coordinator with graphics and recruiting coordinator, all those different types of stuff that have to be built out, whether it's, from specific hires or grad students, but the old model for Carolina basketball just doesn't work. It's not sustainable. It has to build out because there's so many things in play with NIL, the transfer portal, agents, international players. You just need a bigger staff to be able to maintain things, and you need a bigger staff so I can do what I'm supposed to be doing, is that coaching basketball.
All right. My question would be, why hadn't they thought about that sooner? That would be my question. And because they are behind. There's a lot of programs out there. Duke's been doing this for years now. John Shire's first hire was a general manager to handle or at least oversee all of the things that Hubert is talking about. By the way, there was a story last night that UNC is looking at staying within the Carolina basketball family, if you will, for their GM hire. The person mentioned was Buzz Patterson, who played in the early 80s, was a teammate of Michael Jordan's. Famously, I think he lent Jordan used to borrow his shoes, whatever, has worked most recently in the NBA for when Jordan owned the Hornets. He worked there as, I think it was either assistant or the GM. Either way.
His name fits in well. Buzz. Bubba.
Right. Well, he was in Wilmington. He went from Wilmington to Tennessee and out. Right? And I'm not saying for a second that Buzz Patterson wasn't a good coach or wasn't a good executive, but we had Dan Wolken on yesterday, and it is symptomatic of UNC's issues that they do everything from within. And I get it. I understand, Buzz Patterson understands the university community and whatnot, but does he understand the modern college athlete? Does he really get the marketing side of this? Not that he's going to be in charge of that, but whoever you hire as your GM is really in charge of all of this, unless they're all going to operate independent of one another, and I'm not sure that's a good idea. I'm just not sure that's a good idea. I would love to see North Carolina think outside of their own little corner of the universe. When it comes to just basketball, I get it. They don't really have, if Hubert Davis walked away from the job right now, they're not hiring their next coach with North Carolina ties. They're just not. So, I don't know. Sometimes North Carolina is stuck in their own little hole that they can't get out of. Here's Davis explaining the need to do all this.
I am going to increase the staff, and it's needed. I never would have thought 4 years that I took the job that I'm 100%, what is needed is a general manager. There's just so much stuff out there, and I mentioned owner, GM, fundraiser, basketball coach. It's so much on the plate that'll take you away from doing what's the most important thing, is coaching basketball.
There is a lot, right? There is a lot, and Shire doesn't have to do a lot of that. I still think it comes down to two things, because it's hard to, last year isn't that long ago. It just isn't that long ago. And I realize that there's a lot, every year there are more things to deal with. But last year's team, even if it overachieved during the regular season, let's just say that, they have achieved in terms of wins and losses, 17-3 in the league, sweeping Duke in the regular season, getting a number one seed. They weren't quite that good. All right, that's a given. They weren't somehow really a 22-11 team. So at the very least, they were top 10-ish. So it's not like they were completely overwhelmed by all this stuff. ultimately it comes down to, are your players good enough? If North Carolina's players were better this year, if they had a big guy that they could count on offensively and defensively, they're a better team. And we're not even having this conversation. Maybe we should have it anyway. Maybe it would mask the issues that are there. I've said this before. We sometimes get way too caught up in the immediacy of what we believe are alarming results. And Saturday was an alarming result for North Carolina. I do think it is an indication of the separation between the programs. I think, though, it's, again, last year Carolina finished first. 3 years ago, they were in the Final Four. Yeah, it was a late run, but again, that was a team that probably underachieved somewhat during the regular season and then started playing closer to their ability. Maybe not Final Four good, but they got hot and they ran all the way to it. So I don't think it's quite as bad if they get better players, but it is time to modernize. Chip Patterson will join us. We'll talk about modernization because I know he has some thoughts on this. And we'll talk about National Signing Day. What's coming out of the transfer portal? Which is more important now? Are we swinging back towards high school recruiting? I don't know. We'll talk to Chip about all of those things and more next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Pack Therapy Podcast is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. Tim Donnelly here, host of The Drive, alongside Wolfpack legend Casey Morsell.
Every episode is your chance to score inside information on the Pack.
We'll set you up for Wolfpack games all season long.
And we break down the ACC competition, what to watch for as we roll towards the tournament madness.
Plus special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
This is Super Bowl 59. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. Scoring touchdowns, it's key to hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple, like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TIMD. That's code TIMD for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 877-185-543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
A new game has landed in North Carolina. Officials are calling this new species of game Cash Pop. So easy to play, it's out of this world. Reports confirm you just pick and match one number to win up to $2,500. With 5 drawings every day, cash landings have been cited across the state. So be on the lookout for Cash Pop from the North Carolina Education Lottery. The wins are out there. Must be 18 to play. See Cash Pop prize and odds chart at nclottery.com for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Progressive knows we all crave validation.
Girl, you are not 37.
I would have guessed 27.
You guys are too sweet.
Sure. Dewy skin. Terrific.
Is something wrong, Ned?
Why would you ask? Just because today marks my 10th anniversary without a car accident or even a speeding ticket? But somehow, tonight's all about your skincare.
Wow. With Snapshot from Progressive, you can get a personalized rate based on how you drive. And that's all the validation you need. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be... Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the 1s and 2s. So, before we get to our... No, you know what? Well, I'll bring this up first as we bring in the one and only Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator, who is already... He's rubbing his hands together like he can't wait. How are you, sir? Yes, I'm going to bring up you-know-who at the end of this conversation because I made a declarative statement on Monday that I want you to hear in case you haven't heard it. Ron Rivera.
So the declarative statement was that Rory's going to win every single tournament.
Relax.
And guess what? You can't win them all if you don't win the first. So, hey, we're off and running. Did the ball frogs screw the pooch in TGL, baby? But I tell you what, Rory McIlroy as an individual, he's getting it done for you.
I did not watch last night, so don't spoil it for me. I don't really care what happens in that. But I did watch Rory versus Tiger fake golf last week, and it was stupid entertaining. All right, so Ron Rivera is going to become the general manager of University of California football. That's awesome. Like, if Ron wants to do that, because he is a Cal guy, right? If he wants to do that, awesome. We're just dealing with a story where Hubert Davis they're going to modernize the basketball program. From your perspective, how necessary is it to have somebody? I mean, UNC's got it with Michael Lombardi. How necessary is it, even if you're not really trying to run a pro program?
I think that as long as players have representation with agents, I think that as long as you are having to continually monitor your NIL budget, and that is all the money that is available and also the money that is being promised, spent, negotiated upon the roster, as long as we are dealing with a world that has so many variables, I do think it is necessary. I think it is not necessary if you're not planning to, wade into those NIL waters. I think it is not necessary if you want to, just to sort of field a club sports team.
Right.
But high-level college football that requires you to be able to have someone who is constantly thinking of the value of a player, the value of a replacement player, how much money you have, and how much money can be invested. These are decisions that go into how much money do we want to invest into our quarterback this year? How much money do we want to invest into our quarterback room over the next couple of years? As transfers are not just getting a transfer that's going to be your starter. Sometimes it's getting a transfer that is going to be a backup piece, and it will require NIL funds to be able to obtain their services. So as long as we've got all of these things that exist well outside of the idea of developing and preparing a roster to go out and play on at least 12 Saturdays in the fall, then yeah, I do think it is necessary to have someone else whose responsibility it is to manage all of that and be a conduit to the coach and the coaching staff to be able to provide the resources, but also, take some of that off of their plate.
Here's what's interesting. I don't know every school's general manager, but I know at least 3 of them. We've got Michael Lombardi at UNC. You've got Ron Rivera, who it's not official, but it looks like he's going to become that at Cal. And Andrew Luck is at Stanford doing it. I mean, we should be ahead of the game just with that. No? Maybe not.
No.
Maybe not.
Well,
Maybe.
this is where you're behind, because we had USC poach the general manager from Notre Dame. So if you want to talk about like levels to this general manager stuff, there are already general managers who are considered high-end talent.
Right.
Courtney Morgan at the University of Alabama makes at least $1 million. And by the way, the general manager who was poached, this is going to blow your mind. His name is Chad Bowden. You want to know why I said Bowden and not Bowden?
Why?
Because it's Jim Bowden's son.
Oh, whoa.
From baseball.
Look at that.
So we have the second generation of pro sports executives are holding front office positions in college football programs. Well,
because it's not really about football, right? It's about managing people and understanding the marketplace.
It's about understanding the marketplace. It's about understanding positional value. It is stuff that is entirely unrelated to what you do on 3rd and 3 as a weak side linebacker when the man goes in motion. And to bring it back to Michael Lombardi, to bring it back to Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's there to tell what the weak side linebacker should do on 3rd and 3 when the man goes in motion, right? I mean, that's like trying to be the conduit to the NIL agent of somebody who's in the portal who might not even play a snap for North Carolina. Like, that needs to be somebody else's responsibility. Teaching the game of football still needs to be in the hands of the coaching staff.
Chip Patterson with us, as he is every Wednesday. How many schools do you think? Well, first of all the schools in the Power 4 are going to be, they're all in the NIL space, and they're all going to be part of revenue share. They have really no choice. If you're going to maintain your status as a P4, you're going to do that. But how many schools in the G5 are legitimately going to extend themselves to compete?
I would say if you look at certainly the Sun Belt, and to more, here's how I'm going to rank them. The Sun Belt and the American Athletic Conference, if you are a top half program, you are trying to constantly work on your roster, either with a general manager or a director of player personnel or a personnel department, somebody who's in charge of scouting, understanding, trying to do that part of the operation. The salary cap part of the operation, I'm going to say about top half of the Sun Belt, top half of the American Athletic Conference. I think when you get to the Mountain West, that's when you're really only talking about Boise State, Fresno, just the teams at the very top. And then at MAC and Conference USA, I would say almost none. It would be my expectation right there. At that point, you are an old school team.
Right. Chip Patterson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. When we got into the full cost of attendance realm, my gosh, isn't it amazing that was less than 10 years ago, right? That we finally went to full cost of attendance. Still blows my mind. I've been covering this for, more than 25 years, and it took me 17 years to wait. You mean the scholarship doesn't cover everything? I was stunned that I didn't know that. I don't think a lot of people did. Maybe, I don't know. And the fact that they were so proud of themselves for now making everybody whole. Wow, wonderful. But I thought that there would be a lot of schools that really weren't into that. Schools that didn't. Iowa State might be a poor example here, but when Iowa State and Texas were in the same conference, I mean, the gulf between what Iowa State's budget has to be and what Texas's budget is, I mean, those two schools shouldn't be in the same league, right? And you could probably do that in every conference. I don't know how some of these schools are going to compete even within their own league.
Well, so it's interesting. I don't think NIL, in terms of shopping the transfer portal, is the key to success. I think that the level of talent in the transfer portal this season is less than it was the season before and less than it was the season before. The key for NIL funds is not to win bidding wars. The key for your NIL funds is roster retention. And that's what we're starting to see. That's where still being able to identify somebody in high school, bring them into your program, develop them in your program, and then hopefully they make it off to the NFL. That's where Iowa State still wins. That's how Iowa State played for a Big 12 title just this past season. Iowa State was one game away from the college football playoff with a roster that was not loaded up with a bunch of transfer portal talent, but they do have some NIL funds. Those NIL funds are used to keep quarterback Rocco Becht on the team. They're used to keep the wide receiver Jalen Higgins, Jalen Noel, like those players on the team. And so that's what we're really starting to see, is that even though the impression of college football, especially by the sheer numbers of players that enter the transfer portal every single offseason, is that this is like the wild, wild west. 24/7 Sports just did a re-rank of the top 100 players in the transfer portal from this season. And I got to tell you, Adam, you get down to 21, 25, and I'm not sure any of these guys are showing up and are any better than the 8th best player on their roster. You can't flip your roster with the transfer portal. You still need to be able to stack class on top of class on top of class to be able to have some sort of real program. And that's where NIL is actually being used in a way that I think is healthy for college football. NIL is not being used to break teams apart. NIL is actually being used to keep the best players at home.
Chip Patterson is here. Well, I'm going to fold this into the basketball realm as well. And then I'm going to come back to the fact that today is National Signing Day, which I want to thank the Cover 3 podcast. I know you guys were live earlier today, and that's how I realized that it was National Signing Day, because it was on the Cover 3 podcast. But we just watched Duke annihilate North Carolina on Saturday. And
oh no, I flipped at halftime. I didn't watch the end.
You could have turned it off at the last media timeout.
Did we watch? No, Canes went onto the big screen after halftime. It's like
Canes didn't look. I watched the game Sunday night because I was at the Canes and the Kings. And if you were fans of Carolina, air quotes.
Yeah, if you were Tar Heels Hurricanes, it was a rough night.
Woo, it was not good. But a lot of that was attributed to the portal, and I keep saying this. When was the last time Carolina got one of those dudes in high school recruiting? Caden Boozer, Cameron and Caden Boozer are both coming in next year. Flag, Jared McCain was a better player than Elliot Cadeau. Derek Lively and Derek Whitehead, who was hurt and really didn't play. Kyle Filipowski. All three of those guys significantly better than Jalen Washington. Paulo Banchero. You can't even name for me the two players from that year's recruiting class for North Carolina, who, by the way, neither are with the program anymore, including Dontrez Styles. That's where Carolina's falling behind Duke. It's not the other stuff. It's they're not getting those guys in high school recruiting for whatever reason, I don't know. But to me, that's the bigger issue, no?
I think that Ian Jackson and Drake Powell fit the mold of not Harrison Ingram, but of John Henson. I think that they fit the mold of blue chip, 5-star guy who
both
was not number one, but will be in the NBA one year. And that one of the things that Roy Williams did throughout his tenure when he wasn't in the black cloud of the stuff. I'm not going to do a good Roy impression here on this unprecedented statewide platform, but he has always acknowledged it was really difficult there for a couple of years for him to be able to go and win. And Roy Williams always worked, capital W, worked his tail off on the recruiting trail to go out and get the kind of talent that's going to be able to be to go and get a Caleb Love.
Right.
To go and get a player like Kobe White. It isn't always necessarily your Cooper Flagg. That guy really didn't come to North Carolina all that often. I mean, I guess you have to go back to maybe Ty Lawson. Ty Lawson was one of those super wow, eye-popping stuff.
Right.
But you would always just have 3 or 4 of the top 40 guys. And then, they come, maybe one goes pro, but then the core sticks around for a little bit. They develop, and then once every 4 years or so, you go and you make a run. So I don't think that North Carolina has really recruited the same type of player, but even still, when it was competing for championships, it's
manifested itself in a different way now, right? And that's it's not. I'm really just comparing it to Duke. And this is if Duke wasn't doing this, if Duke was just normal, I don't think we would be making the big deal out of it. As I just said earlier today, last year Carolina won the ACC outright in the regular season. They beat Duke twice. They were a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Last year's not that long ago. I do think that there's a fair amount of what just happened on Saturday has made people realize that Carolina is right now lagging far behind Duke in a lot of different ways. But I think this is the main way they're lagging behind Duke, is that Duke is recruiting year in and year out, and it doesn't guarantee you anything, by the way. And I know older teams have generally won. Right. I think teams with the best players and ultimately have the best rosters win. It just so happens that has been older teams. Maybe it'll take time for it to develop, but in the one and done era, 2 of the first 5 teams that won were basically freshman laden, Kentucky and then Duke in 2015. So again, there's not one way to do it. I think as you learn how to build out a roster, you can win, even if your best player happens to be just having turned 18.
I think the thing it isn't even Duke related. I think it's you zoom out and you look around, and you could choose that even if the current roster environment is going to lead to bigger swings between year to year, where it's going to be much more difficult to have that linear trajectory, that the ceiling and the floor should not be that far apart, that it is not worth it to you cannot say, hey, just last year we did this, if on the other side you're talking about missing the NCAA tournament for the second time in 3 years.
Right.
I think that's where, throw any of the future of the program stuff and put it on the side.
But why did they miss? Why did they miss the NCAA? But that actually speaks, I think, more to my point. Why did they miss the NCAA tournament in 2 of the last 3 years?
Well, they haven't yet, but if they are to miss it,
yeah, I mean, I still think they have. I'll give them a 50-50 chance to get in right now. And it might even be better than that.
It's decided this week, and it's one of the things that makes it more interesting to talk about than you would think, is that they have 7 days from not only just the Duke loss to their next game, but they've got 7 days from the Duke loss to a stretch of games that will define their season. Immediately,
yeah,
you got to beat Clemson. You got to beat Pitt. You've got to be able to win all of these games that are going to be after a 1-week layoff from an embarrassing loss against your bitter rival. So anything you want to do about talking about vibes or intangibles, or does this team have toughness? Is this team missing a dog? Or all those things that you want to talk about, we will take the temperature next Saturday, or this Saturday. Yeah. We will take the temperature of that, and we will know whether or not this team has a shot to make the NCAA tournament. Because I agree with you. It seems 50-50 to me.
At Pitt. Home against Pitt and at Clemson, and the game at Duke at the end, at the home against Duke at the end of the season. Those are the quad one opportunities they've got left. That's it until you get to the ACC tournament.
Because Dayton is gone in the tank, so that win doesn't mean anything.
Nothing.
All you've got is the UCLA win, and
the fact that you played a great schedule, so it's keeping your power rankings high. But here's the other. But just to get back to my what I was trying to get to. 2 out of the last, assuming they don't make the tournament this year, 2 out of the last 3 years. Why did they miss 2 years ago? It's because they didn't get the guy they wanted out of the portal, or Pete Nance didn't turn out to be the player they needed out of the portal. We had R.J. Davis and Caleb Love, a little bit of friction, but honestly, it was some of the guys that they pulled out of the portal weren't any good. Last year, Harrison Ingram and Cormac Ryan. Cormac Ryan might have struggled to shoot at some point early, but he was a much more well-rounded player, and Ingram was drafted into the NBA. So they hit the portal in year 1, hit the portal in year 3, didn't hit the portal right in years 2 and 4. There's too much of a reliance on that. You've got to be able to be driven by the guys that are in your program. And Carolina's R.J. Davis hasn't had a good year. The 2 freshmen weren't ready to be stars. Ian Jackson had a great run, but he hasn't done that lately. Elliot Cadeau, I love the best of Elliot Cadeau, but I don't think there's a player in the league that has a greater range between what he can be in a good way and what he can be in a bad way. Because he loses it on the court. And I think they don't have that one guy right now. Like even if they had an Armando Bacot, it would save them. But they don't have that.
I think you just said it. I think that a lot of this year can be boiled down to your ACC reigning ACC Player of the Year, first team All-American hasn't been great, and the other guard that you were hoping could pick up the slack haven't been great.
Yeah,
and your best defender plays with so much heart, but those 3 guys are 6'3" and under.
Yeah, small. That was the biggest disparity wasn't the biggest one. It might have led to the bigger disparity, which was on the scoreboard.
Where no one's shorter than 6'7".
Yeah.
And when we talk about the end of the Pitt game, when they're either throwing up ill-advised shots or getting their stuff swatted at the rim, when people talk about roster construction, whether it's the portal, whether it's recruiting, whether it's development, it's all of it. It's the fact that the team on the floor looks small and not confident when it's time to score. And that's not a great recipe for success when you're trying to play to the standard of North Carolina basketball.
All right, final question for Chip Patterson. I love these conversations. Over under 6.5. Rory McIlroy wins this year.
Are we counting DGL?
No. Have they won yet? Did they win last night? I didn't watch last night.
No, I don't think they won last night. I haven't gone back to watch it yet.
It's interesting when it was Rory versus Tiger. It was fun.
Does anybody listening understand what an absurd number 6 is?
I know. It is.
4 normally will get you into the Player of the Year conversation.
Yeah. How many did Scotty win last year?
Not sure. I would have to look it up. But
Rory's going to have a Scotty year.
I'll tell you what. He had for the competition haunting. He had some haunting comments about what he learned from Scotty in terms of a little bit more of a conservative approach, in terms of knowing where the misses are and what he's learned from playing with Scotty recently. Yikes.
Just saying.
Again, haunting for the competition. But, look, a Rory Scotty season, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely ready for it. I'm looking at the Waste Management Open board, and we get to Kirk Kitayama pretty fast. So I would love a Rory Scotty type season.
Chip Patterson, you're the best, man. I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
I never asked him the question I said I was going to ask him at the beginning. But it's too late. All right, I'll text him the question. I'll get the answer later. All right, we're going to stretch and we will place bets next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
I choose to stay up to date on my vaccines to protect what matters most, my community.
Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you.
So make sure you have protection against new virus strains that continue to spread this fall and winter.
Don't wait. Get up to date.
Because my health is our health.
Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Don't wait. Get your updated shots today.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends, look closer. Right in your community, there are youth who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So, look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. Covenant House is the national leader providing safe housing for youth, 50 years strong. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. Every youth who walks into Covenant House gets clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So, look closer at Covenant House and help us fight youth homelessness. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
HIV is not a crime, or it shouldn't be.
It's time for the laws to catch up to science.
Join the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation to modernize outdated HIV criminalization laws. Go to etaf.org. Campaign funded through the support of Gilead Sciences Incorporated.
One Adam. Gold. One Adam. Gold.
So I was reading an article about the 10 oddest Guinness World Records, and the thing that caught my eye was most skips by a cat in 1 minute. This woman has a jump rope and is skipping with her cat. Okay, I have got a cat, and let me just tell you, the skipping alone would cause this, but swinging a jump rope anywhere near my sweet kitty Carol, she'd be gone for like 5 days.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. Just to kind of get back to the point I was making with Chip about freshman recruiting. And maybe I've been hyper-focused on the very top of each class. But the size of each recruiting class also matters. Because anybody that's ever been in sales understands this. I mean, it's all about percentages. It's a numbers game. So the 2024 high school class for North Carolina and for Duke. Duke brought in, six guys, 7 guys? Flagg, Evans, Knipple, Ngongba, Harris, Malawash, who doesn't factor in the recruiting rankings because he's not part of the U.S. Or Canadian high school system. But he's a legit, we all know, he's going to be a top, 5 or 7 NBA draft pick. Carolina brought in 3 guys, one of which doesn't even play. And it's fine to be a top recruit and not play. I mean, Darren Harris was the 31st ranked player on ESPN's board and rarely plays. I don't know what that means for his future. And if you go back to the previous recruiting class, Jared McCain, Sean Stewart, Caleb Foster, TJ Power, only Foster's still here. Right? That's it. Only Caleb Foster is still here. The one before, Derek Lively, Dariq Whitehead, Kyle Filipowski, Mark Mitchell, Jaden Shute, Tyrese Proctor. Only Proctor still here. 3 of them are in the NBA. Mitchell's at Missouri. Shute is at Virginia Tech. So sometimes you're taking flyers on guys who are highly ranked. You think fit. Turns out maybe they don't. Carolina's not even doing that. In terms of the top 100 on ESPN's list, which is basically where Carolina recruits. 3 guys this past year, including 2 guys who are very good. Ian Jackson, I love, and Drake Powell, tremendous potential. 2 guys the year before, one who's not even with the program anymore, Zayden High. Elliot Cadeau's the only other recruit from that year, at least among the top 100 players. Washington Trimble, and remember Tyler Nickel from 3 years ago. Was it DeMarco Dunn and Dontrez Styles? There's just not enough players coming in. I mean, if you're going to have the basis of your program, now, I mean, maybe they didn't need it because the year before and the year before that was R.J. Davis, Caleb Love, Armando Bacot before that. Like, they brought in a bunch of guys who stayed for such a long time and were such good college players. And you can win with good college players as long as you can enhance around them. Caleb Love might be an NBA player, might be the only NBA player from that run, to be honest. So they just need to bring in more quality players. They're just not doing that. They haven't been doing that over the last several years. If you wrote down all of the Carolina recruits and all of the Duke recruits over the last 7 or 8 years, you'd use a lot more ink on the Duke side than you would on the Carolina side. I think that matters. All right, let's stretch.
Okay, well, this might matter because you're going to love this one. So I was reading about Super Bowl prop bets, like silly, bizarre ones.
Yes, we have to find them.
And it includes one that you have already made so far. And so
the Gatorade?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, but they've narrowed it down to percentages on what is likely to happen and what's likely to not happen. So I know we've talked about this one just yesterday. That's why I giggled at it. Travis Kelce proposing to Taylor Swift after the game. So they're thinking it's only about a 16% chance. So
16% chance.
That's what they're saying. Not great odds. So if you see that on DraftKings or whatever you use, probably not great.
It's not. Taylor Swift would say no.
Right.
to Travis Kelce
Probably.
if he did that on the field after the game.
Yeah.
They're not in college.
Yeah. She'd be like, what are you doing? What's going on? Then they've got other ones like a coach or player crying during the national anthem. They think that's likely to happen at 81%. A quarterback catching a pass.
Yeah.
They threw this out here. It's super low, though. It's not even 6%. It's like 5 point something. So they're not thinking that's going to be likely. But with Jalen Hurts, you never know. Now getting to your Gatorade one, they think purple has the best odds.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't drink purple Gatorade. It's
But,
awful.
I mean, it's only 32% because how many different options are there? There's like purple, orange, like the weird lemon, yellow, yeah, whatever that is. So they're all basically equal.
Okay, so I don't even know if they did that in Kansas. Did they dump Gatorade on Andy Reid in Kansas City? I didn't see it. I did see it in Philadelphia, and the Gatorade was orange.
Yeah.
That they dumped on Nick Sirianni.
Right.
That's why I chose orange. Plus, there's more value.
Well, there you go.
And who knows what it's going to be?
There you go.
God, that purple, that Gatorade frost stuff is vile.
Purple, but yeah, I don't know
It's
if
like
they're going to
pond
do
water.
purple. It's weird. The MVP, who they'll mention first, God or Jesus, is a big one also at 51%. And then Kendrick Lamar, whether he's going to mention Drake at the halftime show. Just mention. But I want to know what they mean by mention. Can you sort of kind of mention them without a name? They only think it's about a 25% chance, but who knows? I think he might mention him by playing the diss track, being like, how'd you like my diss track? On the Grammys, winning awards.
I won 5 Grammys by telling everybody what a jerk you are.
Yeah, so I don't know if that qualifies, but I can see that. Maybe that'll be one of our bets.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, I tried to help us out yesterday.
Yeah.
Winnipeg was actually an underdog at home,
Mm-hmm.
so I thought, all right, we'll bet Winnipeg,
right?
Because I lose all bets. Never mind.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I want it for the Oilers. I got the Oilers in the under 6.5. That's about it. So we'll try again with these games. Boston Bruins are taking on the Rangers. I don't want the Rangers to win as a Canes fan, but I think they might. And I'm going to take the under 6.5. So that together is plus 160.
All right. We'll start with your Super Bowl prop bet of the week. And we are going to the national anthem. John Baptiste is performing over 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
Should take the over.
Always take the over.
Take the over.
In the Super Bowl halftime and the national anthem.
Is there, and it's even set at 10. Take the over. 10 minutes, not 10 seconds. Next up, Oilers. Got to go with them again. They're playing the Chicago Blackhawks, who are on the big struggle bus. Give me the Oilers again, and I'm going to take the under because it's set at 6.5. That's plus 160.
All right. Duke is minus 17 points at Syracuse. Give me the orange to cover the 17.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got to have one underdog bet because, sometimes they work out for me. So the Montreal Canadiens are going to be in LA taking on the Kings. Both of these teams have won their last game, so it's a toss-up. But I think the Canadiens, because they're an underdog, might get a win on the road. So they're plus 200. Why not?
All right. NC State is at Cal. Ugh. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Give me the Wolfpack outright money lines plus 110. That's fine. And we will stay under 138.5. Wolfpack, defend, make enough shots to win a game in the low 60s and sneak one out in Berkeley and maybe make some inroads to making the ACC tournament. That's right, the ACC tournament.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. And in honor of this week, I thought I would do this. I have refinanced or used Miller Lending to buy a home to get my mortgage XI times. See what I did there? XI. That's 11 in Roman numerals. What other entity would use Roman numerals this day and age? I can't think of any, but I can think of 150 billion reasons I can't do that in Roman numerals. To not pay closing cost. You know what? I don't have $5,000 just to light on fire. And that's what you're doing if you pay closing costs, because what you're doing is making a bet that the rates won't drop in about 8 years. That is an incorrect bet. Don't pay closing costs. Give yourself the freedom to refinance free of charge when the rates come down. MillerLending.com. Find out all about it. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road and Cary, an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 2502146.
From 32 to 2, Kansas City.
The Chiefs have won again. They have beaten the Buffalo Bills 32-29.
Philadelphia.
20, 15, 10, touchdown, Saquon Barkley.
Join 99.9 The Fan on Super Bowl Sunday, February 9th. Super Bowl Sunday on 99.9 The Fan is presented by First Horizon Bank and Wake Men. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. This month, get 3 rooms of carpets cleaned, starting at $109, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
They score!
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
One little move that you make or don't make can affect history. And that trade that wasn't made by the Chiefs to go up and get Paxton Lynch, they didn't offer enough, but they tried. You can ask Adam Schefter about that. He was all over it. They tried, and I confirmed it. They tried to go up and get Paxton Lynch. They were unsuccessful, and because of that, moved down and got Chris Jones, and the next year took Patrick Mahomes. So there you go. Best defensive player, Hall of Fame quarterback, best of all time. Wouldn't have been a Chief had a trade been made the year prior.
Wow. It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. I'm sure there are, 100 stories similar to that. There's a reason there is a phrase, some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with, like that person that you tried to. And then you see him 10 years later, and you're like, ooh, I dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think we all have.
Yeah.
Thanks to social media for pointing that out. It's a reminder. Like, hey, remember when?
I see. I totally understand you now. Yeah. Well, when I was dating, it's pre-social media.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's been a minute since I have been dating. So, yeah, pre-Twitter. Well, I don't think it was pre-Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know. When
MySpace, maybe?
Yeah, it might have been.
I was a MySpacer back in the day.
When did MySpace start?
Ooh, that might have been like in the early 2000s.
Okay, so remember that while I had a Facebook account, I never set anything up, and I have 0 times been on Facebook.
Yeah.
None. I know my wife uses it for various things, but she doesn't really communicate with people through Facebook. If she wants to communicate with somebody, she will text them.
Yes. Yes.
But I've never, ever, ever used Facebook. I've sort of scrolled around on Instagram, but not used it. TikTok gives me a headache. It does. It gives me a headache.
It's a lot.
I'm strictly Twitter, Blue Sky.
Yeah.
I was Threads for a while, but I'll use Blue Sky instead of Threads. So Twitter and Blue Sky. Blue Sky is, for the most part, nicer.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because there's fewer people on it. And look, I see plenty of things I don't want to see on Blue Sky. I'm really trying to get to the point where it's only sports, only. But you can't avoid it.
No.
You can't avoid it. Plus, I use both, so I definitely can't avoid it on Twitter. So those are the only two formats I really use in terms of social media.
What was nice this past weekend, someone mentioned they listened to the show. They liked one of my bump songs from like a week ago, and they had to tell me that set their day.
There you
so,
go.
Hey, that's good stuff.
That is good stuff. That is good stuff. And I realize that I am also part of the problem in this regard. I feel like it gets too combative. And I think that it allows people to insult.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's cool, man. I can call you an ass because what are you going to do about it? I get it. For those people who have been blocked or muted, it all comes back to that. I have no problem having a difference of opinion. 0 problem.
Yeah.
With that. But when it becomes you're a jerk or worse, we're good. I'm probably not going to speak with you again. So anyway, with all that, we had a wall of sound. Let's do it.
The wall of sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
We're going to talk to Joel Berry, by the way, in 10 minutes. North Carolina legend, national champion. Joel Berry. All right, let's start with a little Luka Doncic to the Lakers, and we'll start with J.J. Redick. How are you going to get LeBron? Bomani Jones joined us yesterday. He doesn't see a path for those two guys to coexist on the court. It's J.J. Redick's job to make that happen.
Yeah, two guys who have a high level of basketball intelligence that I'm very confident, whether it's playing in a 2-man game, a 3-man game, playing minutes without each other, they're going to be productive and they're going to excel. I think for both those guys, they have a killer's mentality, and that's exciting.
I hope it works. Luka is one of the elite offensive talents we've ever seen. LeBron is arguably the best player we've ever seen. And LeBron is still good. Not what he was, but still good. One of the best in the league. And Luka is, again, one of the best offensive players we have ever laid eyes on. It would be great if those two guys could coexist. And if they can, the Lakers will be good now, but it really sets them up to have a franchise player for the future because LeBron probably isn't going to be around that much longer. I don't think he'll play till 45. I think he'll play 2 more years. Will those both be with the Lakers? I don't know, but I think he'll play 2 more years. All right, real quick, Kyrie Irving with the Dallas Mavericks. He played with LeBron. He and Luka had a great run last year. Kyrie actually wasn't as good in the playoffs as Luka was. I thought Kyrie would actually be the key, and he didn't play all that well. Anyway, Kyrie, I'm sure, was surprised, and he was asked about just how everything felt.
You know, you just don't imagine that you're going to get ready to go to sleep, and then you find out news like that. You know, so it's still a grieving process right now. Miss my hermano. You know, we had a lot of time together. This is a weird case in NBA history to be a part of.
If there's anybody that's going to get introspective about it, it's Kyrie Irving. All right, to North Carolina basketball. Hubert Davis on his radio show on Monday finally is going to acquiesce and take UNC basketball structurally into the modern era of college sports. And he's going to build out the staff, which includes a general manager. Here are the positions he's talking about.
We're going to hire a GM. We need, a director of marketing and fundraising for NIL, for program needs. There needs to be video coordinator with graphics and recruiting coordinator, all those different types of stuff that have to be built out, whether it's, from specific hires or grad students, but the old model for Carolina basketball just doesn't work. It's not sustainable. It has to build out because there's so many things in play with NIL, the transfer portal, agents, international players. You just need a bigger staff to be able to maintain things, and you need a bigger staff so I can do what I'm supposed to be doing, is that coaching basketball.
Well, there are two things there. If you listen to all of it, I'm going to start with the end of it because we didn't talk about the end of it last time. Are we really talking about Hubert as doing too many other things that he can't coach? I mean, because I find that hard to believe. So, if he is pulled away from the coaching element or the game planning element, that would speak to a coaching staff that isn't good enough to do those things. But I believe it's all of the other stuff that doesn't ever get done that Carolina has ignored because they're Carolina. Like I think people have misunderstood what I've tried to say about this, and maybe that's my fault for not being clear. I think we can overreact to Saturday. I do think that it's an indication that Duke is ahead, maybe significantly so. Because you could point to last year when Carolina was better than Duke on the basketball court. But what my point about that is that Carolina has been involved in wild fluctuations under Hubert Davis, especially, but they've been involved in wild fluctuations of performance. And I believe it's because high school recruiting has dipped. Because you can't rely on the transfer portal to make you. It can enhance you. But I think it also needs to enhance you, and that's really where Duke hasn't done well. Over the last several years, they haven't done well in the transfer portal. They haven't added to their roster. Like, what did they need last year? They needed a big man. They needed somebody to protect the rim. They didn't get it. They missed. And what we saw from Duke was a team that was very good, but not quite good enough. And this year, They didn't need that, but they needed certain things. They went out. They got exactly what they needed. Joel Berry is going to join us, former Tar Heel, a legend, a national champion. We will talk with him about where he sees the Carolina program, and we'll get his thoughts on Hubert Davis taking them into the modern era. Next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Looking at both UNC and NC State basketball this year, it has to be more than just you look good when you hit shots. The coaching, both Hubert Davis and Kevin Keatts, have to figure out a way to put their team into better positions rather than just hoping the players can knock down the shots in tougher positions. It's not great coaching if someone hits a fadeaway three.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and it is Super Bowl 59 week. No better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel. Think about this. If you think the Chiefs are going to score a touchdown on the first drive, you can bet it. If you think the Chiefs are going to kick a field goal on their first drive, you can bet it. Plus 320 for that. Maybe that's good. Anyway, have all the fun you want with FanDuel, and new customers place a $5 wager. If you win it, you will get $200 in bonus bets. So maybe you do that today, and then you get $200 in bonus bets to use during the Super Bowl. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Official partner of Super Bowl 59. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What? You expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Progressive's AutoQuote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in a parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box, or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's AutoQuote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
One Adam Gold. One Adam Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. But yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. Joel Berry is a national champion now at the ACC network. And Saturday night must have been difficult, especially sitting close to Carlos Boozer. He joins us on the Adam Gold Show at Joel Berry 2, not the number 2, but 2 eyes. Sir, how did you deal with Saturday?
Yeah, to say the least, I hated that I had to deal with it. It wasn't the best time. To be quite honest, I didn't even pay much attention to the second half. I felt the game was over before the first TV timeout. So I had to endure some pain for the rest of the night. So it wasn't a good night, I guess is what I'm saying.
You and I were texting the couple of like a day or so before the game, and I thought because Duke had not played all that well in their last 2 games that might continue, and that if Carolina had they didn't even need a great shooting night. They had a decent shooting night. I thought that they could keep that game manageable, and who knows, maybe apply a little scoreboard pressure. I watched the game Monday night when State went to Cameron Indoor Stadium and gave Duke everything they wanted. I mean, that game was still a winnable game for State entering the last 5 or 6 minutes. So I thought, man, if State could do it, Carolina definitely could. But let me ask you about the bigger picture, because I know you were asked about this on ACC Network on the panel. I know Taylor Tannenbaum asked you. If you had to put your finger on, is it just a year? Is it just this particular season? Or is there something more that North Carolina needs to do better? Because it it did feel like that was more than just a game.
Yeah, well, if you with the news coming out about them hiring a GM next year, I think that's where they kind of, feel like they've been behind the 8 ball on having that GM. So that right there shows you that they've kind of pinpointed, okay, this needs to change. I think more than anything, they lost out on the portal. And coming into this season, I kind of felt that because you're losing a big piece in Armando Bacot. The most important player I thought they lost is Harrison Ingram. Yeah. And so you're looking at, okay, how do they make up for that? And I don't think they didn't do that. But the one thing for me with all that's going on and all that's happening, I think it's just a personnel problem. You look at the way Coach Davis wants to play, and his personnel doesn't fit that. It's a 5-out system where you have to have shooting, and you have to be able to have guys that are respectable on the perimeter to be able to open up the paint and be able to drive, and that personnel isn't there. So I think more than anything, to me, the biggest thing is the personnel isn't matching the system.
What do you say to people? And I want to say up front, I am not one of these people. We spoke to Dan Wolken of USA Today yesterday that basically said if Hubert Davis isn't a top 10 coach in college basketball, then North Carolina needs to move on. And I'm not saying that that's a hot take or whatever. We could people can interpret that in any way they want. I think Hubert can absolutely coach because we saw it. We saw it 4 years ago. We saw it. We saw it 2 years ago. They got to the Sweet 16 and lost to maybe a more talented Alabama team. What do you say to people who are down on Hubert, especially a lot of fans?
Yeah, I would say, first off, Adam, to be sitting here saying that it's only been 4 years and they're talking about moving on. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? We have a coach who has made it to the national championship in his first year. We've had a coach who has won the regular season. He has already in 4 years been the coach of the year in one of the best conferences in the country. He's had an ACC player of the year. To your point, a close game away from making the Elite Eight, and there's no telling what could have happened after that. And we're talking about getting rid of him. I just think that I don't understand that. But he is the coach, and I think he's fit for the program. I just think there's two things. One, all of this is so different for the Carolina fans because we've traditionally we haven't hit the portal or we haven't had a lot of transfers.
Right.
So that's something that's new. And two, it's just the name of the game nowadays, the fluctuation. There's going to be a lot more fluctuation in your program. And this is going on throughout the country. It's not just Coach Davis, but the reason why it's heightened is because it's at such a prestigious program. So I just think it's crazy that we're talking about he's not fit for the coach, the program, because we've seen the success, and it's only been 4 years.
Yeah, and the other part of that, which, I brought up sort of rhetorically with Dan Wolken yesterday, was I'm not sure if we made a list of the top 10 coaches in college basketball today, and I love John. I've known John a long time. I'm not sure we'd put Jon Scheyer on the list. I'm not sure we wouldn't, but, there's a lot of great coaches who have accomplished a lot more than Jon Scheyer has to this point. What I do know about John, and I think he is a great basketball coach and will continue to get better, I think the advantages that Duke has shown in recruiting, freshman recruiting, has been what has really separated Duke. I realize it becomes a new roster every year, but Duke has grown comfortable with that. So I'm curious your thoughts on the way North Carolina has recruited, especially under Hubert, smaller classes, where without, Ian Jackson is a dynamite player. Love him, and I love Drake Powell too. And I think one may end up in the NBA next year. I don't know. Drake looks like it's going to take time for him to become as good as he can be. But there's been a lot more, wow factor in Duke's recruiting. Does North Carolina have to recruit just a little bit better?
Yeah, that's a hard question because they have. Ian Jackson, Drake Powell are top 15. Top 15 players in the country. I just think it's hard when you're bringing in freshmen and you don't have a group around them of older players that have taken the next step in their games to allow these freshmen to be able to come in and be able to gel with the team. You look at, I know it's easy to look at what Duke has in their freshman class. Not every year they're going to have that, but for one, they got a guy who just knows how to play the game of basketball. Just point blank, Cooper Flagg knows he's a basketball player.
Yeah.
But two, they also have a nucleus of guys who have been at successful programs that are older and more mature that are able to help these younger guys. And I just think the lack of having a nucleus of guys, even though they haven't been in the system, but they know how to play winning basketball, I think that's the difference maker between Carolina and Duke in particular with this year is, yes, you have a great freshman recruiting class and what Duke had, but they also brought in guys like Mason Gillis and Deion James and already having Tyrese Proctor there to be able to help groom these older guys. So I think that was also an added benefit for Jon Scheyer.
Joel Berry is joining us, former UNC star, a national champion, a legend. I'd like to say you'll never buy a drink in Chapel Hill again, but I don't know that you might not be looking for it. At Joel Berry 2 on Twitter. Do you think that because of who the loss was to on Saturday night, this has become like a national calamity where if that loss was to, I don't know, Auburn, and you got, if it was to somebody like that it wouldn't have been such a big deal?
I just think at this point in the season and how the season has gone, I think it still would have been a big deal. I just think that's where it's where they are at in this time in the program, just because as I alluded to, it's like it's a roller coaster. It's just up and down and it's just up and down.
Yeah.
So I just think that, part of being where the program is right now, regardless of who it was, I think it would be the same way. My only thought process is, does the rivalry have the same meaning moving forward because of the fluctuation in college basketball, because of bringing in guys who, like myself, when I looked at the Carolina program when I was in high school, I realized what the rivalry game was. Now that we're bringing in guys where these things are transactional, does the rivalry still mean the same? I think that's where the fans are asking that question, is if this is what we have to look forward to the next seasons when it comes down to these rivalry games.
Yeah, I think Malik Brown talked about it. He had played Carolina before, but he had never played Carolina before while at Duke. I think it depends on how the players who come in embrace it. You would know this better than I, although you didn't really exist in an era where it was so heavily reliant on the transfer portal, which I think gets me back to my initial point, in that maybe the core, the foundation for all of these programs needs to be more, freshman high school recruiting and just enhance your roster. I think this is what John Shire figured out this year. And this is only his third year, so it's not like he's been doing this for 10. But this was the first year they figured we need this, and we need this, 3 different things. And they went out and they identified those players who they thought could help them, and they have hit on all 3 of them to unbelievable success. Sion James is amazing. Malik Brown is one of the best defensive players in the country. And then Gillis has been around college basketball forever. He's on the Robbie Hummel plan. Hummel played college basketball for 12 years. I could have said the Armando Bacot plan, but I didn't want to go there. But he's a winner. He's been around winning programs. These guys are just they're so additive to what Duke is. Carolina really didn't. No offense to Vin Allen Lubin, right, or Cade Tyson, they didn't really enhance what Carolina had. I guess that's my point. Those guys should enhance, not be the basis of it.
Right, and correct. And I think that's where the frustration is that we went into the portal and we didn't get one really what we needed to fit into our system. But I'm also looking at it as like behind the scenes, the resources. Like now, yes, it's about coaching, but it's also about resources to be able to go out and get these players. My concern was like a guy like Danny Wolf. I don't know the full story behind, Carolina and how they were, what was going on in the portal. But my concern is when we start having, and this is no offense to Yale, this is no offense to the Ivy League schools, but when we have guys that are being picky about coming from a Yale to a Carolina, Adam, I'm sorry, but we have a problem.
Right.
We have a problem because that's going. Regardless, you're going from Yale to a Carolina. If Carolina's looking at me and I'm at Yale, I'm jumping at the bit no matter what. And so I just think that's where we are in this time in place, is where this is very difficult, and it's sometimes hard to do what John Shire and his staff did, where it kind of almost like the stars aligned. Yeah. And they were able to get the right pieces to fit into their program to uplift their program.
Yeah, it might never happen again. Final thing, kind of a goofy question for you as I let Joel Berry go. You did not play in the NIL era. Marcus Page also did not play in the NIL era. How much money do you think you guys would have been worth in the NIL era?
Whatever Armando got, and what RJ is making right now, you could probably add another $1 million to it, because we were killing it. We were on the court good, but off the court, we had the best personalities in the country.
Yep.
Just with Theo Pinson alone, we had the best personalities. So we would have been marketable in all spaces.
No question about it, man. You guys were awesome. Joel, thank you very much. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thank you, Adam.
Take care. Joel Berry, a national champion at North Carolina. All right, we'll take a break. We will come back. I'm sure the stuff that I have to either re-explain or get to that I haven't gotten to yet. And we'll also rewind, talk a little bit about the way of the world in college sports. It really crosses both football and basketball lines, and the modernization of it. We'll do that in the rewind next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
It's back, the FanDuel Kick of Destiny, and this time it's every Manning for himself. This Super Bowl, two legends will take the field in a sudden death field goal showdown. Peyton versus Eli, live from New Orleans, one kick to claim ultimate family bragging rights. Who's going to rise to the moment? Pick your winner now in the FanDuel app, and if you back the right brother, you will earn a share of $10 million in bonus bets. The FanDuel Kick of Destiny. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/AGS and bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. FanDuel.com/AGS. Do it now. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. No purchase necessary. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's okay not to be okay. Feelings of loneliness, anger, and worry are completely normal, and you're not alone. If you need help coping, call, text, or chat the free 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone is always there to talk, day or night. Together, we will find the care that works for you. Just call, text, or chat 988 anytime to talk to a trained counselor who will listen, provide support, and connect you to other resources that can help. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job, and Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance, and Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This is Adam Gold.
What, a minute 53 into the game? Heat of the moment?
Right.
What kind of heat of the moment is that? We haven't even gotten to simmer yet.
I know. Did someone flip him off in the parking lot? Like, what are we...
Seriously.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold, Victoria on the ones and twos. Get into the rewind in a second. We thank Joel Berry for stopping by. Think about sitting in that studio next to Carlos Boozer and having to deal with that. I mean, that's not a knock on Carlos Boozer, who we've had on this program and is a wonderfully nice person. And I know his kids have committed to Duke. Could have gone to UNC, too. The UNC was, they didn't get to the as finalists. It was between Duke and Miami at the end. But North Carolina was in that mix. What I think we'd all like to see is North Carolina get a few more of those players. Because I remember we have this, they're all McDonald's All-Americans, or they're all 5-stars. Okay. Drake Powell, 5-star, McDonald's All-American. And Cooper Flagg, 5-star, and McDonald's All-American. There's tiers within the tier. We could do it. You can do it in any sport. There are Hall of Fame players, and then there are a certain element, a segment of Hall of Fame players that are so far and away better than everybody else. It's like it's not even funny. And we forget that. We can't lump everybody into the same category. I'll bring up the Hurricanes here very quickly, and then we'll rewind. Because this was pointed out to me. And I've been going back and forth with people on Twitter because it's what I do, and it's dumb, and it's a distraction, and all of that. But I feel like I don't owe it to anybody. It's just what I do. And I'm happy to have the debate. So there is an undercurrent of Hurricanes fan that believes that Rod Brindamore and his system isn't good enough, will never get Carolina to winning a Stanley Cup. Until they win it, those people can feel justified in being right. Right? Until they win it, or at least get there, those people will feel justified that they're right. So are you okay with just losing in the second round each time? Like, I'm not okay with it. But I'm also realistic about it. So in Rod's 6 years with the Hurricanes, they've made it to the Eastern Conference Final twice. They have won a round in the playoffs every year, at least. The 1 year they didn't advance to the conference semifinals was the bubble year when we actually had an extra layer of playoffs. So the Hurricanes swept the Rangers in the first round in 3 and then lost to the Bruins, I think it was in 5. So, I mean, if you wanted to pretend that first playoff series against New York didn't happen, I mean, you could do whatever you want. The Rangers, I believe, had swept Carolina going into those playoffs, the bubble hockey, because we had played, 3/4 of the season at that point. Oh, maybe actually a little bit more than 3/4 of the season. Hurricanes played 68 games. Some teams had played 71. So I think the Hurricanes, I know it's going to sound weird, I think the Hurricanes have done about what they should have done based on their personnel. So I will bring this up. I don't play fantasy hockey anymore. I did for a couple of years, long time ago. I don't play fantasy hockey anymore. But here's where fantasy sports help the people who play it. You have your eyes opened to how many great players there are around the league. And if you were doing a draft, a fantasy draft, and you were taking the best players, we're not talking about the best two-way players, we're talking about the best players who produce points. How far down the list would you go before you picked a Hurricane? Put that in your brain and think about it. Because ultimately, the one element that the Hurricanes have missed in the playoffs, there are several elements the Hurricanes have missed in the playoffs. But in terms of offense, we've been saying it every year. They have been missing that goal scorer. I would argue, not last year when they added Jake Ensel, 2 years ago, they recognized they were deficient in goal scoring, and they went and signed, or they traded for Max Pacioretty. Remember that? Remember the Max Pacioretty acquisition?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Bona fide goal scorer, postseason producer, works in the interior of the ice, tight spaces. And we were all like, yeah, if he can stay healthy. And then he didn't stay healthy. He blew out his Achilles, in the 5th game, I think it was. So they lost the guy that they brought in to do that. And the organization didn't replace him. They went, that was the year they went to, was it the outdoor game? I think it was the outdoor game season, right?
Mm-hmm.
The outdoor game season. And they got through that and through the trade deadline, did not replace Max Pacioretty. They could have used long-term injured reserve and replaced, they would have had something like, $8 or $9 million to go out and add pieces to that team. They chose not to. And then Andrei Svechnikov got hurt. Right? This all computes now, right? So the team that knew that they needed extra goal scoring and went out and got it, and then had that extra goal scoring get hurt, chose not to replace it, and then lost the player who was supposed to be part of the goal scoring. So the Hurricanes have not had the rosters that you think they've had. They've had good rosters, really good rosters, but they have not had that element. Carolina plays in such a way that makes the most out of the talent that they have got. Over the years, that's what they've got. Now, over the last couple of years, they are starting to add more dynamic offensive pieces to it. Seth Jarvis comes up, right? Jarvis is, I don't think we have to wonder what Seth Jarvis is going to be. But I also think that Seth Jarvis is not going to be a top 15 or 20 NHL scorer. He's not Kirill Kaprizov, right? He's not Mikko Rantanen. He's not Nathan McKinnon. He's not those guys. And if you look around the league, there are a fair amount of those guys on other teams. What Carolina needs, I said it a couple of years ago in the offseason, you can add all you want. Carolina will get better from within. The players that they have already will drive them forward. And about this particular team, they added Mikko Rantanen. There's a promo running right now about my thoughts on getting people to pump the brakes on just how good Carolina can be. I know what it says to people about Mikko Rantanen. You added Mikko Rantanen, you are all in about winning a Stanley Cup this year. I would argue that they're interested in that every year. They think about it differently than you do, because I know how they think about it. They think about it in terms of percentages, which is why they didn't go out and add, because they're not just going to add because they think you want them to add. They're going to add the right pieces as they see. And they look at it as, we're not going to mortgage future for a 1% greater chance of winning. That's how they process it. You can think what you want about the system and all of that, but that's how they process it. And I may disagree with them on that, and I, for the most part, I do. But this team is getting better. Jackson Blake represents another talented offensive piece that will be better going forward. Right now it's pretty good. Will be better going forward. and Taylor Hall adds to the mix. But the Hurricanes are largely going to be as good as two players on their roster right now. And they're two players who have been here for the entirety of the Rod Brindamore era. They're going to be as good as Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov. Promise. If those two guys start playing to their potential this year, the Hurricanes will be in the mix to win a Stanley Cup. Promise. But we'd be fools to think that they have to this point. And I don't believe any of us are fools. Those two guys. And last night, those two guys were
Unfortunately.
That's it.
Yeah.
Aho can rely on being a great two-way player. He can impact the game in ways that don't hit the score sheet. He can rely on that. And I love Sebastian Aho. I hate criticizing Sebastian Aho, but he needs to be better. And Andrei Svechnikov needs to be better. By the way, for all the people complaining about, well, it should have been goaltender interference on the last goal. Go watch the highlight of the last goal and then explain to me what Andrei Svechnikov is doing on it, because he quit on the play. Not only was he behind the play to begin with, but he thought that the play was over, so he stopped playing. So the guy he could have just decked in the crease legally, he let score the goal. These are the types of things that right now are holding this team back.
Not good.
If Aho and Svech play better, Carolina's in good shape. If they play as they are playing now, yeah, I think it's going to be a struggle. I do. I think it will be a struggle. Mikko Rantanen's problem is not Jackson Blake. In fact, the best chances that Rantanen has had for the most part, not all, have come because of Jackson Blake. Right now, Aho hasn't been as good. Maybe he's trying too hard. I think you can try too hard. In a sport that demands fluidity, I think you can try too hard. And that's not about effort. That's about pressing to score, pressing to create. I hope they figure it out. Maybe they'll figure it out in the Four Nations tournament where they're going to be teammates. 2 more games before the break. At Minnesota tomorrow, home against Utah on Saturday.
Yeah.
All right, let's rewind. All right, let's go to Chip Patterson. Hubert Davis is talking about NIL and general managers and all of that. We know that Carolina's got a GM for football, Mike Lombardi, longtime NFL executive. How necessary is it to have somebody in that role, Chip?
I think that as long as players have representation with agents, I think that as long as you are having to continually monitor your NIL budget, and that is all the money that is available and also the money that is being promised, spent, negotiated upon the roster, as long as we are, dealing with a world that has so many variables, I do think it is necessary. I think it is not necessary if you're not planning to, wade into those NIL waters. I think it is not necessary if you want to, just to sort of field a club sports team.
Right.
But high-level college football that requires you to be able to have someone who is constantly thinking of the value of a player, the value of a replacement player, how much money you have, and how much money can be invested. These are decisions that go into how much money do we want to invest into our quarterback this year? How much money do we want to invest into our quarterback room over the next couple of years? As transfers are not just getting a transfer that's going to be your starter. Sometimes it's getting a transfer that is going to be a backup piece, and it will require NIL funds to be able to obtain their services. So as long as we've got all of these things that exist well outside of the idea of developing and preparing a roster to go out and play on at least 12 Saturdays in the fall, then yeah, I do think it is necessary to have someone else whose responsibility it is to manage all of that and be a conduit to the coach and the coaching staff to be able to provide the resources, but also, take some of that off of their plate.
Chip Patterson, who joins us every Wednesday to talk about these types of things. What we're really talking about is just the modernization, the professionalization of college sports. Really, it's kind of football and men's basketball more than anything else. Although I wouldn't rule out, I wouldn't completely ignore women's basketball, which is becoming a massive. We're finally modernizing that. They're finally offering, NCAA is finally offering units, monetary units for how the women's teams advance in the tournament. I get it. It hasn't been a moneymaker for a long time, ever, really, until recently. But what Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, to a lesser extent, but Angel Reese, have done to elevate the women's game. And so that's becoming more popular. People are watching it. It's the reason why the WNBA is expanding. It's become interesting to people. So, but good for the NCAA to modernize that and start offering a financial reward for success in the tournament. All right, real quick, we don't have a ton of time here, but let me get one more thing from Chip, because we have different levels of we're not going to have time for all of it. But we talked about. I encourage you to go listen to the segment with Chip in the podcast. We're going to get to a point where, the SEC and the Big Ten across the board are going to have so much money, and because NIL will still be part of it, there will still be some separation between the schools. Whether it's a Vanderbilt and an Alabama, there'll be separation in terms of the financial resources that they can or will offer to students. Right? They're still getting a massive check from, in the SEC's case, from ESPN, in the Big Ten's case from Fox and CBS. And NBC for the rights to their football games. So they're still getting that money, but the NIL dollars will fluctuate from school to school because they are going to be separate. So there'll still be some gap within the conference, but the bigger gap, it's not even going to be so much from the SEC to the ACC. It's going to be a massive gap within the group of 5 leagues that, East Carolina says they're going to be a part of that. They're going to be a part of revenue sharing. They're going to be a part of NIL. Good, right? But there will be schools in that conference that won't be able to do what East Carolina might be able to do. And those schools are going to get punished. And I'm not talking about sanctioned or anything. They're going to get punished on the field. Chip said that he didn't think the MAC, or what was the other conference that he used, he didn't think they'd be involved in it at all. That's going to be ugly. It might as well at that point be 1AA, FCS. Anyway, Victoria, thank you very much. Tomorrow on the program, we'll delve into the NFL draft prospects with Jordan Reed of ESPN. See everybody tomorrow. Thank you, Victoria. Also, Canes hockey tomorrow. Bye.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Pack Therapy Podcast is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. Tim Donnelly here, host of The Drive, alongside Wolfpack legend Casey Morcell.
Every episode is your chance to score inside information on the Pack.
We'll set you up for Wolfpack games all season long.
And we break down the ACC competition, what to watch for as we roll towards the tournament madness.
Plus special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcast.